So if Aliens represents the peak of the metaphorical mountain climb that is the Alien franchise, Alien 3 is sort of like a third of the way down the fall after the mountain climber tripped over that peak. Hello everyone, Gilligan Kruger, 0829 here, and welcome to the third installment of my Prometheus movie series marathon review. Today we'll be looking at, obviously, the third installment of the Alien franchise, Alien 3, released in 1992. Only 6 years after Aliens came out and became just as popular, if not more popular, than Ridley Scott's movie, Alien 3 came out. And it actually took the franchise in a whole different direction than the first two did. Does that help the movie, or does it hurt it? Well, let's start with the plot synopsis, and I'll probably have answered that question by the time I'm done with the review. So, I'll be completely honest with you, I thought this movie actually picked up where the last one left off pretty decently, actually. We see the space pod carrying Ripley, Newt, Corporal Hicks, and Bishop, the only survivors. Unfortunately, the spaceship itself crashes into a planet, and Ripley is the only survivor. To make matters worse, they have crashed on a male-only penal planet, and as such, Ripley's the only female in the village, or colony, better to put it. But, to make matters even worse, a lone facehugger also made its way into the colony, and of course, an alien hatched. Only this is a new breed of alien that didn't hatch from a human, but rather a dog, or a cow. It's in different versions. But regardless, it's a new breed of alien about to wreak havoc on the penal colony. And the rest of the movie centers around the differences the prisoners have to overcome to fight off this monster before it turns them all into prison chow. Now, fans of both science fiction and just the Alien franchise in general usually regard Alien 3 as the beginning of where this franchise started to go downhill. And yeah, I'm going to have to agree with that 100%. I've only seen this movie 2 or 3 times, but every time I've seen it, it really didn't leave much of an impact on me. But there are a few creative aspects of it, a few elements, and I did see some effort into this movie that I don't think left this as a complete disaster. So, let's just look at the elements individually. Firstly, let's still look at our main title character, Ripley, again, played by Sigourney Weaver. Can't really get anyone else to play her, that role is so iconic. And just like the tone of this movie, her character is handled kind of differently in this one. She's given time to be the badass action heroine that we got in the first 2 movies, particularly the second one, but she's put into a new environment this time, and she's kind of handled like a fish-out-of-water character. There were a few scenes I got a sense of Veronica Cartwright's character from the first Alien movie, and you know what? I kind of liked it. I thought that was a nice little contrast. Whatever you say, though, she's still one of the most badass female characters in all of cinema. Yeah, I don't think so. But let's stick with Ripley. I do like the way Sigourney Weaver was directed in this one. Kind of like a combination between how she was in the first 2 movies. Like a cross between the action hero and the fish out of water. That I thought was really interesting. So there's a plus to the movie. Ripley, you're still one of my favorite female characters in cinema, so still love you, even after this. And even though I do not remember all that many of the characters in this movie, there was one I do remember liking. He was played by Charles S. Dutton, and he was kind of like the inmates' religious leader, but had a really dark past to him. kind of imagine a darker version of Morgan Freeman's character from The Shawshank Redemption, and that should pretty much sum him up. He was very complex, and I really enjoyed the way that character was handled too. Again, that probably doesn't make much sense since I can't even remember the guy's name, but you know what? I don't really think you need to. I can remember his image, and that I thought the actor did a pretty good job, so there's a plus for the movie. And speaking of darkness, this entire movie has a much more gothic style to it, because it's frequently shot with low light and in very enclosed space, and that definitely evokes kind of a creepy feel to it. Like, imagine the ventilation escape scene towards the end of Aliens. Now put that in an entire movie as the setting, and that will sum up the picture. But I do kind of find it ironic, I'll be completely honest with you here, that the first Alien movie was more dedicated towards horror, the second one was more sci-fi, this one's back to the horror, Resurrection, we'll go into that tomorrow, is more sci-fi. It's just kind of like a roller coaster back and forth. So, again though, I do think the gloominess and gothic feeling was very well handled, and I'll be honest, I really like the concept of the alien freeing the prison planet. That was really interesting. So yeah, the lead is still good, the concept is interesting, and the gothic, gloomy feeling is very well established. What could possibly be wrong with this movie? Well, how do I put this? As I said before, the movie's biggest fault is in the fact that it really doesn't leave that much of an impression. And in fact, to be completely honest, it's kind of boring. Now, this movie was the directorial debut of the now famous horror thriller director David Fincher, who would later go on to direct some very mature movies like Seven, The Social Network, and most recently the American version of Girl with a Dragon Tattoo. All movies that really evoke this gothic feeling. Okay, well, not so much Social Network, but you have a adult sort of feeling to it. So Fincher would go on to direct some good movies, and if you guys are fans of Fincher, let me clear this up right now before you start leaving nasty comments. I am not blaming him for this at all, because actually, you know what, in fact, I think he was the best thing about this, because looking back at it, I really liked the gothic style of this movie, and the way he evoked it was really cool. I just wish they did that with the rest of the aspects, like the characters and the story and whatnot. It just didn't really do anything for me. And for an Alien movie, you could argue that's the biggest crime possible to commit. So, yeah, if you're a fan of this movie, because I'm sure this film does have its fans, but I apologize, I'm just not one of them. Would I ever watch the film again? Maybe. But here, how's this? I'm going to be a bit lenient on this movie because it has been a long time since I've seen it. Maybe I'd enjoy it more the second time through. And looking back to it, I do like more than I could remember enjoying it. It's really limited to what I've been watching over on YouTube and whatnot, but I got more of it than I remember the first time. So, in conclusion, I'm going to give this movie somewhere between 2.5 and 3 stars. A little closer to 2.5. Mainly because I feel bad comparing it to movies like Lime Life and Apollo 18. Both of which I didn't think were nearly as creative as this one. But still, this definitely is the beginning of where the series went downhill. I don't think I have to go very far to find someone that agrees with me. I just don't have much to say about this one, other than, hey, you know what? It's still better than the next film on the list that I'm dreading reviewing, so I'll just sum it up like that. okay movie at best, but definitely the start of the spiraling downhill. You can find all my movie reviews on my YouTube channel. If you have a movie you'd like me to review, comment on this video or on my channel. Subscribe if you like, and until next time, peace.